Thank you, everybody. Very nice to meet you. I am David Konopka. I am the CloudHealth account executive, covering actually government and education for CloudHealth by VMware. And so today, I guess first and foremost, as Ron mentioned, like I love questions. So if you have them, please throw them out there. It's better to be able to help out than kind of talk at you. But today, there's not going to be as much focus on what we do, but more talking about how the landscape has changed, what COVID has done to kind of spearhead and move up these initiatives that government and public entities have had revolving around the public cloud, and some best practices and things we can do to help. So I'm going to stop sharing. So quick agenda, the government and education, IT landscape, pretty straightforward. Who we are, what is CloudHealth by VMware, and actually probably a larger overview of what we can do for our customers that are going into the public cloud. So some of the challenges that it comes with managing and doing a migration out to the cloud, especially if it's one that's been moved up with things like COVID, a rapidly expanding remote workforce, et cetera, kind of the maturity framework and how we view our customers growing and establishing themselves in the public cloud, and then some best practices around that. So first and foremost, it's no secret that in the public sector, technologies tend to be slow to adopt. Whether that's the need to get budgets through grants or, in some cases with some government entities that I've worked with, there's actually laws that have to be passed. And so doing all this on with a limited staff, on a limited budget, if your servers work, they're doing what they needed to do, and your customers are happy, then it gives you time to go focus on, everything else that's happening in the environment. And so, cloud adoption might look like Office 365. It might look like, potentially adopting a disaster recovery as a service solution. But everything else in terms of infrastructure, in terms of adopting additional SaaS solutions, tends to be a little bit farther down the line. So lo and behold, though, COVID hit. Suddenly, all of your students are remote. Suddenly, all of your workers are remote. And there is this need for the quality of service and the ability to deliver IT like you were before, but in a drastically different environment, in a drastically different landscape. And so what we've seen, based off of this report that we got in just through customer interactions that we've talked to, trying to give a call to your vendor of choice to order a server, to get it plugged in, or even establishing some type of WAN to be able to assist, again, your students or your workforce, everything slowed down. And so the only option was to turn to one of the big three cloud providers out there that has all of that stuff readily available, that has all the infrastructure that you need, that has the framework and all the tools that coincide with that. And so we saw the largest adoption of compute services, SaaS adoption, et cetera, within the GEH vertical. And, again, based off of the way that everything in IT has been operating historically, it makes a lot of sense to go out and again, look at Azure, look at AWS, look at GCP, look at the other providers that can give you what you need and give it to you quickly to be able to keep delivering IT to either your internal or your external customers, whomever they might be. So why VMware for government and education? When you have a rapid adoption of a technology, whether or not it's from us or from somewhere else, there tends to be a little bit of kinks and wrenches thrown into the machine, so to speak. VMware has established itself well in the private cloud sector. Not to disparage any of the competition out there, but We are the leader in that space. We've been doing it for a long time. And a lot of y'all might actually even be using us today within your data center. We discovered a couple of years ago that more and more of our customers were adopting a public cloud, either in a hybrid environment or just full out evacuating the data center. And so VMware over the past 3 or 4 years, if not longer, has been slowly acquiring more and more SaaS companies to help our customers with that transition. So as everybody here starts to adopt a hybrid cloud or a public cloud, we have solutions that will help you from the data center to get out to the public cloud, whether it's via management, it's cost optimization, it's security. We have a lot of solutions that we're happy to sit down and discuss and figure out what is the best fit for you to make sure that you're getting out there safely and securely. And so there are a set of best practices when it comes to adopting the public cloud. And this isn't anything that we've come up with ourselves. It's something that is well established out in the field and really just makes a lot of sense when you break it down. The first is solidifying that migration strategy. Starting to throw workloads out there willy-nilly, it just doesn't work, right? What we're trying to do is we're building a public cloud house, so to speak. And this migration strategy is the blueprints for all that. So you have to understand what the dependencies are on what machines. What are some monolithic applications that cannot be transitioned out to the public cloud? What are some apps that you're running today that might be better served by adopting a SaaS solution? Somebody out there who's been doing it for a long time, like a Salesforce, who can do it better than we could ever do in the amount of time that we have. Where else do we need to look at applications that we need to just fully rewrite to be cloud native? And then do we have to hire developers? Do we have to hire engineers, et cetera? And so sitting down and really understanding what that cloud migration and what that strategy looks like is the most important part of this whole thing. The second piece of that is building what we call a cloud center of excellence. It's also been referred to as a cloud center of innovation. What it is just a set of best practices for establishing yourself out in the public cloud. So whereas the migration strategy is your blueprint, this is the actual foundation. This helps you to determine tagging strategies, of tagging security, of making sure that workloads are deployed out where they need to be and who's using them and where they're being accessed and how they should be accessed, and putting guidelines and principles around that to make sure that as you migrate and as you grow month over month, which I dealt with some customers that have seen 100 to 200% month over month growth in the cloud, that you know that you're doing it in the right fashion and that you can track everything down and you've got visibility no matter what's happening out there. The third piece of that is aligning the business context to that data. Everybody has an initiative or something important that they're trying to accomplish by moving out to the cloud. You also have those different agencies, the different departments that they're all trying to establish themselves and accomplish something as well that aligns to whatever their principles are. And being able to take that thought and that go forward strategy and applying it to the data and to the infrastructure and to the solutions that are out there is very important as well. We run into a lot of customers that get overwhelmed by like microservices, by Kubernetes, by everything out there that is cloud oriented, but being able to take a look at what your business is trying to accomplish and seeing it if it aligns to some of those things helps to kind of work through the mist a little bit so that you know what's important and how you can accomplish it very succinctly. As you start getting those workloads out there, optimizing them is very important. You don't want a developer or somebody within your group to go out and deploy like the biggest, baddest $5,000 a month machine because he wants to, put an Excel document together. So having visibility into that, but then going through and actually looking at the utilization of those workloads and being able to reprovision them, to spool them down, or to be able to do cost reallocation and reinvest it back into your infrastructure or your people is just a good best practice to have as well. And then the last part of that is making cloud a truly integrated part of your business, whether that is via hybrid cloud or whether that's going straight out there, making sure that your business is performing the way that it needs to be, that you're getting the redundancy and the effectiveness out of the public cloud is something that you can actually start to mold into your business to make sure that you are truly a hybrid or truly a public cloud customer. So along with that, though, there are a lot of promises of what the public cloud can do. It's elastic and improves the speed of delivery of being able to service your customers. You can spool stuff up and down very quickly. You can get anything that they need, especially with all the tools and the open source and everything else available with it. The reality of that tends to be something a little different, and one of the reasons why CloudHealth and a lot of the other public cloud management companies exist today, it is super easy to have a capital expense budget and an operating expense budget that maybe you're not dipping into as much. But then when you adopt the public cloud, suddenly you're getting this six-figure bill from one of the big three out there, and don't really understand how that happens. It happens more often than it doesn't. Accidentally exposing your data is a lot easier because somebody could fat finger or something, maybe accidentally deploy a machine that has an open port. You don't have intrinsic control over the hardware in the data center anymore. So it's easy, especially as you're starting to ramp up in the public cloud, for some of these things to happen, which is where CloudHealth comes in. So we've been around for quite some time now. We were bought by VMware, I think a little over 2 years ago at this point. We manage over $11 billion in spend today. That's equivalent to about, I think, 1 in every 5 AWS workloads. And we are cloud agnostic, though. We understand that each cloud that's out there, especially the big three and Oracle as it's starting to come up, they all offer something unique that one of the other cloud providers doesn't. And so we are starting to see more and more of a hybrid and a multi-cloud approach happening across all of our customers. So being cloud agnostic, being able to manage it and give you a single pane of glass is one of the things that we set out to accomplish, because we don't care what cloud you're going to. We just want to make sure that you're safe, secure, and optimized when you decide which one you're doing. So we look at this as kind of table stakes when it comes to a cloud management platform. We break it down into 3 separate areas: the financial management of it, the operational governance of your cloud, and then security and compliance. Obviously, this slide is a little busy, so we break it down further here. And again, a lot easier to digest, but we've got those 3 frameworks that I mentioned: the finance, the operational component, and the security. And we break that down even further into these 4 separate buckets. The first is visibility. And that is not something that, you take a look at it, you're like, okay, cool, I'm good to go. And then you move on. Visibility is there for a reason. It is the most important part of your whole strategy.
And $9 tips.
I'm sorry, was there a question out there?
No, it was just one of the other speakers. I had to mute him because someone I think was delivering some goods. No problem.
I guess you figured that is lunchtime. That's good. So again, visibility is the most important because you cannot manage what you can't see. You have to make sure that you know who is deploying what workloads where. what additional accounts might be out there, your security posture, et cetera. So getting CloudHealth in and establishing that cloud center of excellence gives you visibility into all the workloads that you have today, and then ultimate visibility into everything that you're deploying in the future, which again goes hand in hand with that optimization piece, right? You can't optimize, you can't see the resources that something might be consuming above and beyond what it needs if you can't see it. So once you have the visibility into all of the different instances, all of the different accounts, it's time to go through and optimize those workloads. Going from a world where you're on-prem, where you have your server and you have all those resources associated with it, if you have anything extra, you get to just re-provision it to one of the other machines via thick provisioning or whatever. If you move that same machine out into a cloud, suddenly every megabyte, every gigahertz that's unused, it is costing you money. It has a dollar and a cent associated with it. And so if you have this mass migration or you're seeing this large month-over-month growth, suddenly those dollars and cents turns into tens of thousands of dollars. And so being able to optimize those workloads to reinvest it back into your infrastructure or back into your people, or really just do a cost savings exercise is very important as well. Third piece of that is the governance and the automation. There are a lot of day-to-day manual tasks that we see from our perspective in talking to customers. Like one would be finance, for example. They've got to take their bill and break it down, export it to an Excel spreadsheet, and hopefully the tagging scheme is correct, and they can import it into Tableau and send it off to whomever they need to bill. That gets very, very cumbersome, and the amount of time associated with it would be better spent on, really anything at this point. And so being able to automate those menial tasks, doing things like automatic lights on off policies. So if somebody leaves for the day and they accidentally forget to shut that machine down, that is costing money as it's running, even if it's not doing anything. Being able to do charge back and show back, all of that is capable within our platform and can save you time in minutes, hours that'll add up to days that could be better used elsewhere. And then I did talk about that business integration part already, being able to wrap KPIs around your infrastructure, being able to, again, establish that cloud center of excellence, the foundation for your cloud strategy. And so back to the kind of house metaphor, at this point, your house should be built, have everything inside of it, and you're ready to live in it and make sure it's the best house possible. Another thing that we like to talk about as well, when you have your on-prem infrastructure, again, whether it's us or any other hypervisor out there, we all did a great job of breaking down hardware silos. You generally don't have like a memory or a hard drive or a hardware guy anymore. You have a VM admin, you have an IT director, maybe you have a couple other people. Once you get out into the cloud, all of those silos suddenly start popping back up again. You have a finance person who's trying to figure out what the bill is and where it's coming from and why it's so expensive. You have the engineers that are continuing to develop, that they need the resources that they need, and they're going in and provisioning them, and engineering might not really understand where that's coming from, or somebody in security is trying to figure out like why it's being deployed, why they need so many resources. And so with the cloud management platform and with CloudHealth, we have a Rosetta Stone sort, like, so to speak, where it's a common language for everybody to collaborate. And so within our platform, you have a dashboard that can be customized for whoever's logging into it. They can get reports that are specific to their day-to-day to keep them updated. And so there's no distractions from them being able to do their job. And when something pops up unexpectedly or there's a question, it's easy for everybody to get back together and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing on my end. This is what you're seeing on your end. Let's put our heads together and let's figure this out based off of all of the data that we have. And so we do have the ability to take a cloud management maturity assessment. It's very quick. If that's something you'd like to do, it's, again, super easy. You can just go onto our website, or you can reach out to me as well.